Hello, family. Good evening, and I hope you are all fine. Yes, we are back again, and this is just our final year here at the University of Ghana. So I'm just praying and hoping that we put in our very much best or our very best into this final year so that we can secure the kind of grades or the kind of CGPAs we are planning or we are working towards, right? So welcome back again to this semester, and I'm hoping we we pass through this semester smoothly. So Nehemiah here again, and kindly like this video and also subscribe to the channel if you find this helpful. All right, so today I'll be starting. Actually, this is actually my first lesson for this semester. It will be on principles of taxation. Right, this is actually our fifth week, and I'm not recording a video. Just wanted to get an understanding of whatever we'll be teaching this semester so that I will be able to also try my possible best and then help us, help us, yes. All right. So quickly let's begin and then see what this session has for us. So basically this is basically it is basically on principles of taxation. Right. So we are now coming to talk about lesson one, which talks about the introduction to taxation. Right. So at the end of this session, in this total session, right, we are supposed to know the definition for taxation, explain the types or forms of taxation, explain the characteristics of a good tax system, explain the role of taxation in national economy, fiscal policy, and explain the incidence of taxation and also source taxations, like sources of taxation, whether primary or secondary sources, right? So now this particular session's outline. Definition. So we have the definition and classification of taxation, characteristics of a good tax system, and also significance and incidence of taxation. All right, so let's kindly move on. And these are the reading lists that if you get hands-on will really help you. All right. Okay, so now let's start. All right, so here is the definition for taxation. So in defining taxations, in which I doubt that we will be asked during an exams, right? But if in case we are asked during an exams, we are supposed to state that taxes are compulsory payments, right? So they are compulsory payments that is associated with income, consumption, or holding of property that individuals like us and corporations are required to make each year to the government. So when I'm saying individuals, I'm not talking about students, I'm talking about workers, right? And corporations, which are like companies, are required to make each year to the government. So you should make sure that your definition covers the compulsory payment aspect, the income, the consumption, holding of property, individuals and corporation, right? So when these are added to your definitions, then there's a high probability or there's a high chances you'll be getting the full marks for this particular definition attempt. So uh, these taxes are levied on goods and services, businesses, salaries, and the likes, right? And it is levied and enforced by the government or an authorized agent, which is, we know that in Ghana, the GRA is the one that takes taxes, right? So it is levied on individuals and corporations. All right, so um, payment of taxes. Taxes is paid or imposed on the following income. So it is levied on household income, personal income tax, levied on consumer expenditure, valued added tax, business receipts for retail sales, employment, profits on companies, dividends, and these are some of the taxes that are being paid or imposed, right? So we move on to the classification of taxation. Right. So taxes can be classified according to who levies the tax, right? According to what is taxed, and then as direct and indirect taxation on the basis of variations in the rate of taxes. So rate can be in the form of progressiveness, regressiveness, proportional, and the likes, and also on the basis of payment. So we are going to talk about this down here, right? So types of taxation under the direct and indirect, right? So a direct tax is like in a form of you knowing, like you being able to trace this particular tax, right? That you know, say, if, for example, you are a worker and you pay a direct tax, you know, say this particular tax has been taken from your salary or from your wage, right? So a tax such as income tax, which is levied on the income or profit of a person who pays it, rather than on goods and services. So what this means is that this tax is being levied on the income or profit of persons and not goods and services. So examples here is the income tax, tax of individuals like corporations and the likes too. It's also part here. So we also have indirect tax. So with the indirect tax, we pay them indirectly. Sorry for using uh, the same word here, but basically what it means is that we are paying this tax without even knowing that we are paying them, right? So an indirect tax is paid, is passed off to the consumer as part of purchase. So it is included in our purchases that we make each and every day, the lorry fares that we pay and the like. So it is being paid autonomous, like you wouldn't even know, and you wouldn't be even able to trace them. So these are some of the examples here: valued added tax, national health insurance, e-levy. Okay, e-levy input that you can trace sometimes also. Ghana Education Trust Fund, communication, service tax, and whatsoever have you. So these are all some examples of the indirect taxes, right? These are all examples of indirect taxes, and we can look through them. So now we can also talk about taxes on how it is being collected. So the collection methods. So tax collection is necessary to ensure revenue are collected to fund governmental projects or governmental services. So in taxation, we are most often going to talk about the Act. That's what we are going to deal with. So Tax Act 2015, Act 896, right? Which has these subsections, section 113 up to 116. These sections prescribe the following methods for tax collections in Ghana. So it can be in the form of withholding. So what the withholding mean here is that they will assign an authorized agent to take the taxes on the government behalf. So for example, your employer can take taxes on behalf of the government. So your income will be taxed, and then that tax will be paid, like the employer is the one going to take that particular tax and then later on pay to the government. Or we can also take the betting thing into consideration. When you win a bet and you want to withdraw, the government will take a certain tax. The tax is not being paid directly or straight or instantly to the government, but the betting company is going to take that money and then push it to the government. That's what it means here. So with the withholding, an authorized agent is being is being given that sole this thing to withhold the tax, like take the tax on the government's behalf or on the institute, on the country's behalf, something like that. So on installment. So on installment here also means that you can also pay the taxes based on installment, not all at once and the like. And also on assessment. So on assessment means that GRA, for example, who is the collector of taxes here in Ghana will come in and do the computations on the amount of taxes that you are supposed to pay, and then you pay them. That's what it also means here. All right, so we move on onto the types of tax that is based on the mode of imposition. So we have the progressive tax here. So with the progressive tax, right, you pay more when you earn more. That's basically it. But you don't pay, it doesn't mean say you are paying more in terms of amount, but you are paying more in terms of percentage or in terms of rates, right? So with the progressive taxes, you pay more rates, right? You pay more rates when you earn more income. So there is it here. A tax is called a progressive tax. When with increasing income, the tax liability not only increases in absolute terms, but also as a proportionate of the income. So as a percentage of the income, that's what it means here. And an example we can talk about here is the pay as you earn, the payee, right? So the more you earn, the more you pay. Then we also have the regressive tax. So the regressive tax is basically the opposite of the progressive tax. So what the regressive tax does is that you pay less percentage as your income increases. So meaning that if your income increases, you pay less percentage. Maybe you might be paying higher amount in the absolute terms, but in terms of percentages, you'll be paying less. In terms of proportionality, you'll be paying less. That's what it means here. So the tax system is said to be regressive if the tax liability has a proportion of income falls with the increase in income. A kind of tax for which this one is VAT, so value added tax. All right, we move on to the proportionate tax. So the proportionate tax is basically saying that uh, irrespective of the income level you earn, right? You are paying the same rate, the same percentage of tax. That's what it means. All right. So this is basically a grammatical view of what it means. You can see that the progressive tax more looks like the supply curve. So the more, so you see income level is, so the more the income increases, the higher the taxes rates being paid, right? So tax rate is here, income is increasing, then tax rate is also increasing. Progressive is more or less like a demand curve, right? So as the this thing falls, the income level falls. Sorry, as the income level increases, the tax rate is also what's falling, as you can see here. And the proportionate one is more or less like a perfectly elastic something. So it is fixed irrespective of whatsoever. Like, all right. So let's move on to topic 2. It talks about the attributes of a good tax system. So um, for a tax system to be very good and to be very efficient, it has to have some kind of attributes. It has to have some kind of qualities that will make it, yes, a good tax system. So you see, there are tax systems all over, but are they good, right? Every country has a tax system, but these attributes are going to let us know whether a tax system has a good tax system or not. So basically, we have the equity. So what the equity talks about is that there should be fairness in terms of tax payment. So basically, what it means here is that those who pay more and those who receive more salaries are likely to pay more, which talks about the vertical equity. So for the equity, you have two types, right? We have the horizontal equity, which is same income people are going to pay the same amount of money, like the same amount of tax, sorry. Whilst the vertical equity means that, or is trying to say that higher income levels will demand higher taxes. That's what it means. So basically, let's go there. So basically, as you can see from a good tax should be fair to the people who are required to pay them. So a tax is said to be horizontally equity. This is what I've just explained and the like. So we move on. So certainty. So what the certainty basically mean is that each and everyone should at least have a fair idea or should know in our mind what we will be paying as our taxes. So if in the case of you competing for your tax and you have less idea of what you will be doing, right? Or you will be paying. You wouldn't really have, or you wouldn't really be certain about the amount of tax you are supposed to pay, right? So the certainty here is saying that people should be able to determine their true liability with a fair degree of accuracy, but not a very full rate of accuracy, but with a fair one, at least they should have the idea of whatever they. So taxpayers should be clear in their minds as to how much is owing and payable at any point. All right, so we move to the economy. So the economy basically talks about the cost involved in implementing a particular tax system or taking a particular tax. So if the cost in administering a particular tax or enforcing a particular tax system is more than the benefits we are going to get, then that doesn't make it an economy, right? That doesn't have a good economy. So for a tax system to have a very good attribute, like a good one of the good attributes of a tax system is that it should be economy, meaning that the cost associated to the benefit should be lesser than, yeah, the cost should be less and the benefit should be more, right? That's what it means here. And we've already spoken about the equity and the convenience. So convenience in a form that at least we should be able to pay them freely. So see, a good tax system should be such that the method, the manner, and time of payment should be convenient to the payer. It should be easy for us to pay it. We should know when and how we are going to pay it so simply and easily. So this characteristics advocates that the taxpayer should be assisted to meet his obligation. So the design of monthly income tax deductions from income of a worker is a typical example, right? So this is self-explanatory here. And these are some stuff that you can get time and then go through it, right? So now we move on to the significance and incidence of a tax. So what this chapter talks about is basically who bears more of a particular tax. So if the government implements or imposes a tax on a particular good, right? Who bears more tax? That's what this chapter is trying to talk about. So if you are someone that really, really likes or prefer using a particular product and a tax is being imposed on it, you really, really preferring that particular product will mean that you are going to bear more tax. But if you don't, then it is likely that you are going to change your demand. So meaning that the producer is going to bear more tax. So we are going to talk more about this in this particular chapter. All right. So now, significance of taxation. Why do we tax? So one, we tax. There are two broad objectives of virtually all taxing system. So one, the government tax to raise revenue to finance its increasing expenditure. So what this means is that you see we have nurses, we have doctors, even the university teachers and the likes are all paid by these taxes, right? So government is supposed to raise revenue through taxes and then pay these lectures, these teachers, all the government workers, even the president himself and the government agencies are paid through these taxes. So they use these taxes to raise revenue, pay themselves, and then also do other projects, building of dams and those kind of stuff. So that is for the revenue aspect. So the non-revenue aspect is to correct inefficiencies, right? So sometimes, for example, we will be there. I remember way back, I used to take uh, Origin. I'm just using myself as an example. I used to take Origin Friday evenings. So what I do is that Friday evening, to me for an tea. That's what I tell myself. So I'll just go and buy 2 bottles of Origin. Then I go to Abuchi, then I get some of his meat, then come and then sit down and enjoy myself. But due to some kind of taxes that were imposed on alcoholic beverages, now the price has skyrocketed, and yes, sir. So now price of one Origin is around 15 cedis or 16 cedis, right? I can't buy two. I can't buy one. So my best this thing is to stop, right? So the inefficiency here is that maybe if care is not taken, and I keep on taking this Origin, I might even get addicted, and then it can cause a whole lot of and maybe I might not even be able to be recording these sessions anymore because of this Origin and the likes, right? So the government has corrected this part of inefficiency for my side. So there's also some a friend saying cigarette. I don't take cigarette, I beg. The Origin self that I'm talking about is once in a while. So cigarette, for example, cost is very low to produce. So I just checked in US, cigarette costs like a pack of cigarettes. To produce a pack of cigarettes, it costs them 6 cents, which when converted here, 1.2 cedis. So let's say 1 Ghana cedis to produce a pack of cigarettes. But it is being sold around $7. So a pack of cigarettes is being sold around $7. So you can just see the amount of taxes that are being imposed in here. You see the thing. So they just want people to abstain from the cigarette, but you say, yeah, so the anti pa we no taxes na ebi mo pato so a senses to those so buy. But people will respond to these price changes and then try and then bail out. That's what that's one of the main aim of the uh, government. And also sometimes the inflation, right? If the government sees that there's a particular good that is being, so for example, you see there's this current trend in Kumasi where these toy guns is being sold and then they just do pew and the like, right? Initially, that gun was, I think, around 3 cedis or 5 cedis or so. But because it became a trend for people to be using it up, down, here and there, it's even moved up to 50 cedis, 60 cedis, right? Without taxes. So for the government to even stop the purchase or the consumption of that particular gun, he even needs to what? Impose more taxes on it. Because already, without taxes, it's already at 60 cedis. Government can impose tax on it and then it will skyrocket to like 120 cedis. Then it will discourage people from buying it, then forcing the price to come back down again. That's what it means here, right? So, okay, the amount of tax collected may be used to meet government expenditure on development of infrastructure such as schools, hospitals, yeah, and also to bridge uh, the gap of inequalities of income. So basically, the reason for high taxation or the proportionate tax system is more in the form of, say, those who have money are even the ones that normally uses the government infrastructure. So me not having money and I walk to school always, I don't really use even though I use the roads, I don't use it that much as compared to someone who has a car. So I'm supposed to be taxed less and then those who have cars and the likes are supposed to be charged or taxed more. That's basically it. And so now that's okay. To control inflation is here an inflationary situation and then like, and also taxing may be used to foster growth of key sectors of the economy, right? So they tax some economy less, and then they also tax some sectors more so that others can also have an advantage, right? So we can check those companies that are situated around in Sawam side, right? Their taxes are less as compared to those who are situated at Tema. See, so these are all stuff so that people, companies, and then some of the sectors of the economy can also grow, right? So yeah, so that's something that is okay. So all right, so these are all something that you can read for yourselves in the life. So farming enjoys a conventional rate of 1% for a period of 5 to 10 years, depending on the nature of farming. So you see, these are all this thing. So example, okay, yeah, tax can be used to discourage the importation of certain goods, either to conserve foreign exchange due to its addictive demand and the like. So basically, this is one of the main reasons why I'm not doing politics. But one of the main reasons why um I at least like the government in power is that, I mean, I don't know, but I'm not doing politics, but I'm just trying to say that if not for the imposition of high duties, I'm sure dollar rates would have been around 46 because people will just be dumping here and there. And because the port duties and the likes is very high, it is difficult for people to just come and dump anything in here, right? Because you can check auction cars online and then to be around $1,000, $500 and the likes. But when you are bringing it here, you pay higher taxes, you pay higher duties, which is discouraging people from bringing them here, right? Some people also try their possibilities and then bring it in and then impose those costs on us because they've seen that demand for foreign goods like is in the form of inelastic. That's why. But things are very soon to do this thing. So this is the incidence of tax. So I spoke about it, which refers to who is going to bear more of a particular tax when it's been imposed, right? So with someone with an elastic demand, right? Someone who responds easily or faster to price changes, right? They are likely to bear less tax because I respond to price changes. When price increases, I ran away from the good and then look for another good, right? That's what it means of the elastic distance. So those people are um less likely to like bear more proportion of a particular tax system, right? So those with inelastic demand, those who can't do anything, who can do away with a particular demand, right? Who have high preference for foreign goods and the like. When price is being increased, they bear more percentage of that particular tax as compared to the producer. So the producer will bear less and then they will bear more because they can't do away with that particular good, right? They will buy it even if when there is high taxes on it, right? Because of their taste and preference, and sometimes too, and they are all there. So you have, and the unitary elastic basically means that whatever tax rates, it will be shared evenly among the producer and then the consumer. That's what it means. So there is a graphical representation of it. I've explained this already, so you don't really need anything. So let's move on. So, okay. So sources of taxation. So we have the legislation, which is in the form of parliament, right? We can form some kind of taxation this and then they also have case law, right? They can also then treaties. Treaties is basically like an agreement between two nations, right? So there can be some agreement between two nations and then to become some kind of taxes. Then other secondary sources can be in a form of textbooks, text manuals, tax manuals, tax journals, tax bulletin, tax articles, tax research findings, and the likes. So to conclude, we have learned that a tax is a compulsory payment that is being imposed on income, investment, and then holding of a property, right? So this kind of uh, imposition are compulsory and they are being paid by individuals and then corporations, right? So we also a means by which government finance the taxes are is also a means or is a way by mean the government also finances the expenditure by imposing charges. So government uses taxation to encourage or discourage certain economic decisions, and also generally taxes provide the funds for public goods and services, right? And taxes can also be used to redistribute wealth and create a more equitable society, right? So there's this quiz here where you can try it yourself. All right, so Nehemiah here again, and I sign out. Thank you so much for your time. See you some other time. Bye.